Hello guys, my name is Marian Petrov and today I want to show you one very interesting attacking game. And this time I have decided to show you one of my own games which was played around 10 years ago at the Greek team championship. So my opponent was one Greek player and I was with white, and it is French defense. And I used to play a lot this advanced system. I think on the top level probably most of the players prefer knight c3 or knight d2, but I think even if black in this line usually gets more or less equal position, it's always very complicated. And here this is maybe more of a question of experience. If you have played this position many times and you have made all kind of ideas and you know what to do and what to expect, this can give you an edge over our opponent who can get a good position, but after this maybe he doesn't know exactly what to do. So for those of you who are not familiar with this system, in this close center there is this infamous French bishop, which often black is trying to exchange because otherwise he remains very bad. So he can exchange it by going on a6 or maybe sometimes on d7, b5, or black can just leave the bishop there and start to develop first the knights, the queen, to put pressure on the d4 pawn, and only later to think about this bishop. c5 is the best move and white has to protect his center. Queen to b6 and knight f3, and now black is choosing between knight c6, which is a bit more straightforward and active, and then often with knight c6 and the other knight goes to h6 f5, he is putting really strong pressure on the d4 pawn. Or he can switch to bishop d7, bishop b5, first to get rid of this bad bishop and then to develop his knights. In this game my opponent went for bishop d7, which is a bit tricky move order because you don't know if he will go to b5 or maybe he will just switch to knight c6. For instance, normally you would like to bring the bishop to d3.
The big day is here because this new course with 42 attacking principles is ready, it's out there. I put my best foot forward in order to collect all the attacking principles, and with Grandmaster Marian Petrov we created this amazing chess course, and you can follow the link below of this video in order to read the description. Now please let me show you how the course is inside. If you enroll to this course, you can see it here, and after that you can start learning one lesson after the other. And if you click here on PGN file and exercises, and there in this green button, then you can see the PDF document. We have 5 of them, each one has 10 exercises, and then you have the positions. You can set up this position in your real board and try to figure out what is going on, and later you can scroll down and see the solutions there. If you like the course, you are very welcome to promote this one to your friends by our affiliate program. We have 50% commissions for you. So time is action is now.
In French this is the best diagonal. But after knight c6 it could revert to one gambit line where you have to know now this line with the pawn down. There is some compensation, but the theory here is very long. And if you don't want to concede this and to lose this pawn, you have to go bishop e2, which is putting then the bishop not at his best position, but okay, you have to develop. So this is what white usually is doing. Bishop e2, and now black again can go knight c6, bishop b5, or pawn takes d4. Now he takes on d4. In this game he took like this. Sometimes black is going directly in bishop b5, but during the years some people with black are a bit concerned that this might be not the best move, because it gives white 2 options. Taken on c5 and then castle, which is white is getting rid of this potentially weak pawn, and then he starts to use this square as a outpost, or even there is a line with c4 when there are some complications. So in order to avoid those things, black takes on d4 and then goes bishop to b5, and white is playing knight c3 and black takes. So I have played this position many times with white in my career, and in the beginning, when I was young, I used to take with the queen, which is the most natural move, then bishop e3, castle, rook c1, rook d1, which is okay, but the problem is that it's not putting any pressure and any problems on the black's position, as white, okay, he has all his pieces in the center, but the center is blocked and there is nothing you can do there. So later, I think it was during one game, I started to think, okay, can I just try to create some attack on the king side somehow, but I need more pieces, because now without the light square bishop there is no pressure on h7, the other bishop can hardly do something, and there is only one knight, but with one knight, what can you do? So I started to thinking about this, to take with a knight, and then to go to g3 or f4, and maybe then to h5. And I thought, if I can go to h5, then it's something. First of all, there is a pressure on g7, maybe I have more chances. So one time I tried this move, and in this game I also have tried this move, knight e2. Black is developing, white is castling, and now black shows that he have prepared well for this line, because he plays this knight to c6. Sometimes people who haven't studied this much a lot, they think that black has to play like normally he plays in French, this knight to c6, the other one to f5. But especially now when I go knight g3, black could have problems with the other knight. So this is okay. Then this knight goes to d7, and the bishop goes usually to e7, and black castles. And probably, if I look today this position, I would play knight g3. And I think maybe this should be the best move, but during the game I was thinking that I have to move the bishop maybe, so I have to defend the pawn, because maybe he will take, and I came up in the end with the move rook b1, which is of course not a mistake, a bit slow move, and actually this is not only to, the idea is not only to move the bishop, but sometimes to push b4, and to somehow not to give those pieces a lot of possibilities to be active, because yeah, if you push b4 and a4 and maybe start to push the pawns, then this knight has to go somewhere. But my opponent has played a5, which is kind of preventing this move b4, and then I continue with my plan, knight g3, and he continued with his development. So you can say that rook b1 a5 is not changing dramatically what is going on over the board. And now, of course, I was very happy that I can jump on h5 with my knight, and I was a bit worried now what to do after g6, by the way, because yes, g6 looks very suspicious because you exposed the dark squares, but what to do? Knight g7, then I'm not sure that this knight is getting away from g7. Knight f6, it's possible, then black can take this knight, and then after knight d7, the pawn on f6 will be a bit weak. Of course, bishop g5, you can defend, but maybe h6 and g5. So, yeah, I thought, okay, let's just go to h5, and if g6, then I have to think more seriously. I can always go back to f4, of course, and then, or maybe even to g3, and then bishop h6 to... So the problem for black here, it looks like everything is fine, but at some point he needs to castle, and then this will be the problem, where to castle, because if you play g6 and then you castle kingside, it's very dangerous. If you castle queenside, it's also not completely safe. So he decided to castle immediately, and now I thought, okay, it looks okay. My plan was working, that my knight from c3, spending a lot of time, of course, but still he managed to go to h5. But now I have to follow up with something, because only with one knight again, what can you do? If I go bishop e3, rook e1 or something like this, black will go knight d7, and then maybe even f5 or f6, take on f6, knight f6, and then no attack. So I thought, okay, I would like to bring my queen somehow to the G file. Actually, there was one game which in a very, very similar position, I played queen d2, and then queen f4, and then queen g4. It's a bit slow. I think I managed to win this as well, but in this game I had another idea. I remembered, by the way, during the game, I remembered this plan of queen d2, but I had another idea, because I thought, okay, let's say now, what is the plan for black? The plan for black is knight d7, and then f6. I don't see any other creative ideas for black. So I thought, okay, what can I do? And I was thinking, do I have time to push the g pawn to go g4 and then g5? It looks a bit strange because you kind of block the pawn structure and you don't have any pawn break with f4, f5. But if we push the pawn to g5, first of all, playing f6 for black is much more difficult, and then even if you move the king h1, rook g1, in the future you can think about knight f6 check, pawn takes, and then some mate on the g file, who knows. So I started to think about this move, and I thought, this is actually not such a bad idea. So go g4, okay, and then g5. And now what can black do? His queen on b6 is looking okay, but actually she is a bit out of the action which is starting on the king side, so it's very difficult for black to try to bring the queen back to help if needed. So he has to prepare f6, because otherwise he just have to sit and wait for white to improve and to play this king h1, rook g1, and knight f6. So he has to prepare f6, so he moves the king away. And I was not sure. I thought maybe my plan was a bit, very risky, because I wasted so much time to go with this knight to h5 and then for g5, and my pieces, you can say, my pieces are sitting on the back rank, not developed, only one knight. But okay, I thought if I have reached this position, I have to continue to attack. And I also moved my king to h1. I have made some calculations, of course. I was expecting f6. And now I had 2 or 3 options, by the way, in this position. In the beginning, yes, I was very concerned that now he will open the f file, and then his rook suddenly can become very active. My knight on f3 could be hanging, and now white has to decide what to do. I can take with the g pawn, of course. I was thinking, okay, g takes, e takes, knight f6, for example. And then I thought, okay, if I take bishop f6, it's not so great. Maybe knight f4, or maybe some other lines. And then I thought, maybe, okay, if I take with the e pawn first, and then g takes, I can play something like rook g1 or bishop e3, or I was thinking for a lot of options, and in the end, I think I have found the best one, which was not so obvious. Okay, I took with the e pawn. I don't care already about my center. I am thinking only about attacking his king. And I think my opponent probably have missed my next move, because now he was expecting that white should take on g5 or something to defend the pawn. But I surprised him with the move g6. And this was what I managed to calculate, because now he has to take, otherwise g7. So it looks like black is doing great, pawn up, all the pawns are very beautiful, defending everything. But the problem for black is that after knight f4, the g6 square is becoming exposed. And also e6, of course. So the knight is attacking both pawns. But if he defends with the king, rook g1, queen d3, even, I don't know, maybe there's some other ideas. Also, I was thinking sometimes that, okay, he has to defend now with the rook. And when he defends with the rook, if I go rook g1, he goes g5. And I don't have knight e6, okay, but the knight is going a little bit in the wrong direction. And I found, before I took on f6, I found a very nice line, which I have calculated for a very long time, and in the end, I was very happy here because I knew already that I am winning, because he plays here, and now he also maybe even didn't see my move, or he just didn't have any choice, but now I surprised him with this move, knight h4, and suddenly there is no g5, obviously, queen h5 and knight e6 is a mate, and if he plays knight f8, my plan was to take knight g6, queen h5, king g7, queen g6, and then knight e6, checkmate. So he saw this. Okay, so g5 is a mate, knight f8 is mate. So what to do? He tries this move, and I just take here, and then I was thinking about queen h5, but I thought, okay, let's first move the rook to g1, because he cannot take on d4 because I have knight e7 check, and he cannot, if he moves the king to f7, I thought comparing to the other line, when I go queen h5, this will be already much stronger. So he cannot escape with the king, and what can he do? Moving the bishop is more or less the only reasonable idea, and now already queen h5. So if bishop f4, probably this will be the same mate which happened in the game, and I think he's now totally lost. So he played this move rook e8, finally to develop all the pieces, and here it's a bit funny that half of my pieces are, you can say, not developed, and I managed to create attack with the rest of the pieces, but this is enough because now I have this check, and after knight e5 check he resigned because rook g7 checkmate is coming. So that's how sometimes you can find interesting plan. You see how white managed to bring this knight on h5, the pawn to g5, and then when you have a clear plan, even if it's not the best sometimes, but you know what you want to achieve, and this might work. So I hope that you have enjoyed this game, and I wish you good luck.
Thanks for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Here it's time for action. This is the initial page of my website, and here you can click Give me access to get access to free lessons. You can read this page, and if you scroll down, here you can add your name and your email. After that, you're going to take a free lesson how to avoid chess blunders. So, time for action is now, and you're very welcome to join my mail list.